Hey there, I'm Ian Douglas. I'm the author of the website techinterview.guide, and I'm here to help people with career advancement and interview preparation. My live stream on Twitch covers topics such as company research, how to build resumes and cover letters, applying for the job, getting through interviews, and what to do during negotiations. I've coached thousands and thousands of people over the years to get jobs at the biggest tech companies in the industry, and I'm here to help you too. The following episode is taken from a longer live stream event and may contain interactions with other people in chat. Check out the end of the episode for more information. Let's get to it. I had a question in chat saying, I work for a screen printing shop. I developed a full stack shop management site to manage orders, production schedule. I really enjoyed building an app like this, but I don't know where to go from here. Do I start a business that focuses on building apps like this, or do I search for a full stack job? You could go either way. You could continue to build this up even while you stay at this present job and just say, hey, I built out this application. I'm going to keep adding features to it. But keeping in mind that that application is very, very specific to your exact shop and how that shop works. Other print shops and screen printing and so on, they may work slightly differently. They may have different feature ideas and so on. And so you could ask around and say, hey, we've got this application. Would you be interested in trying it as well? Get their feedback. If nothing else, you'll make your own version of it better for your own print shop, even if they don't end up using it. Either way, you're going to be a better programmer because now you're learning to take feedback from users and implement that feedback as features, bug fixes, and so on. As far as do you continue down this road where you want to make like a consultancy sort of business out of this and do this for other print shops? Depending on your level of skill as a developer, you might be able to make this generic enough to do what we call white labeling, where you've got kind of like a core product and you're going to say like, hey, I'm going to go run this for Ian's print shop. And so Ian can put his own logo, his own color scheme, and, customize some of the text and whatever so that when Ian loads the application, it says Ian's print shop instead of Devin's print shop software, or whatever you call your consultancy sort of business from there. And so you could go that route. That can get a little tricky as far as who actually owns the software. So you mentioned in chat that you work at or you work for a screen printing shop. You didn't say you own the screen printing shop. And so technically as an employee, they may want to claim ownership of that software because you developed it. So you're going to have to talk to them about, do they want ownership of this? Do they want copyright of this because you're an employee? Depending on when and how you developed this software, there are some states that protect your time developing side projects like this, provided that it doesn't compete with what the business that hires you as an employee actually does. So like if you were on the side to go build another business doing screen printing, that would be a direct competition. The fact that it's a screen printing shop and you've gone and learned software development is a completely different thing. But you have developed software for the screen printing process and scheduling and so on. And so your company may want to claim ownership of that software. So you're going to have to talk to the company about, hey, is this something that I can own? And you'll literally need them to write a letter saying, we don't want any ownership of this. They'll probably need a lawyer or whatever to sign it, or preview it and say like, yes, we are, I forget what the word is, but basically disclaiming ownership, saying we don't want any claim to this software of any kind. It is entirely yours. It is entirely your responsibility. And at that point, then it's up to you. So if you have fully developed it on your own, you may have the option to do that. If you, in between print jobs at the shop, you were, pulling out your laptop and working on it, they might claim that you're using their resources. You're on the clock for them. You're doing it during their work hours and things like that. They may want to claim ownership, especially if it's something that they see could be a value of licensing it out to other businesses and so on. But I think it's something that you could talk to the owners of the print shop about and see what they want to do. See whether this is something that you could pursue as a side business and say, hey, I want to keep working here. Like, I'm not just going to quit tomorrow and like work on this software full time. But you could definitely talk to them about like, hey, I want to keep working on this as part of my job. Could I spend like 10% of my time or 20% of my time 10% of your time is like half a day a week. 20% of your time would be like a full work day every week if you're working full-time hours. And so you're going to have that conversation with them about how much time they want to allocate. And you're going to have to really provide them a sense of value. Like, what do they get out of this? You're developing the software that they want to not claim ownership of. Why should they let you continue to work on it? I mean, if they're really generous and they really like you, they might, but it's a conversation you're going to need to have with them. Now, if it's something that you've completely built up and developed on your own time, and you just took it to the shop and said, "Hey, I've been working on this side project. I'm learning development. Is this something we could use?" And they say yes, and you start using it, then that's fine. But you still need to have that conversation with them, because some companies will say, even though you're off the clock, we still own everything that you invent. So you're going to have to look at your employment contract and figure out whether there's some sort of invention clause that anything you invent or create belongs to them, unless they specifically write this disclaimer saying we don't want ownership of this. So again, you're going to have to talk to them about what their expectation is and go from there. The other part of your question is, excuse me, should I do that full time, or should I go get a full stack developer job? That depends a lot on what you want to do with your career. Excuse me. It depends a lot on what you want to do with your career. If you want to be a full-time software developer, um, I would say having that one project is good. If you've got other projects, that's better. If you can come up with like a whole portfolio of projects showing these fundamentals of scheduling and handling form data and storing form data and all that kind of stuff, which sounds like this application has some of. But in order to get a job, you're gonna have to demonstrate more than one project. So I typically tell folks, like, whichever company you're gonna go apply for, you want to show them a project that they're going to care about. So any of the fundamentals or any of the technologies that they use that you can also show some kind of skill in is going to look good. Having this project that shows a lot of fundamentals of what you're building and what you've been learning as a developer is good. Having some sort of passion project is also good. Now, for you, that's kind of wrapping it all into one project, but a resume doesn't look very full if you only list a couple of skills in one project. So I would probably continue to build maybe a few other projects. They don't have to be huge. They don't have to be very complex. But if you can find companies where you would want to go work full time, if they have any sort of technology, whether they develop the technology or just a technology that they use that they list in a job post, go build a project in that technology or with that technology, and then put that as the very first project. So that one is going to really stand out to them. And then list this one next and say, these are some other fundamentals that I've learned about form processing and database storage and dynamic things and scheduling conflicts and scheduling events and things like that. Those are actually pretty hard algorithms to try to work out. Like, how do we schedule these things that, work is getting done in the right order at the right time and so on. Those are all things that stand out really well as far as the algorithmic side. Now, to be a full stack developer, you also have to have a pretty good understanding of user interface development and user experience, or what we call UI and UX, and how aesthetically pleasing is that application. If you're like me, you're really good at algorithmic thinking and really good at things like databases and so on, but not very good at the front end design, like working on CSS and so on. Is it not as intuitive for me, but for some people, like they have like the creative half and the logical half of their brain like pretty in sync, and they're able to do a bit of both. For me, I'm more on the logic side than I am on the creative side. And so if you want to do a full stack developer job, then this project sounds like it's a good full stack sort of project to work on. The other aspect then is, how do you want to showcase those other skills? How do you want to focus on just the front end side of it and what you can do from a user experience point of view as well? And the user asked in chat, is there somewhere I can send you screenshots of the project? Yeah, you can drop some links in chat. We'll pull them up here and take a look at. So those would be some of the things that I would sort of mention there is like what would those projects be? So typically on a tech resume, I would generally want to see like 3 projects. And any company that you apply to, you want those projects to be really relevant to that company. Hey, thanks for the follow. Um, you can put, just random projects on a resume, but what's going to really stand out to me as a hiring manager is showing me projects that I'm going to care about. And so I think that those, like having sort of a variety of projects is going to help you make a resume stand out to different companies. Where, if it's another print shop, put that project first. That's going to be really relevant to what they do. If it's another company that does things like scheduling of events and handling schedule conflicts and things like that, like if you want to go work at a company like, say, Calendly, which is a calendar scheduling type of software application, that would be a highly relevant thing to highlight to them. And so you can put that project on your resume as the first project, and then highlight in the bullet points like handles scheduling conflicts and scheduling of work to happen in a particular order. Like those kinds of things will really stand out to that company. If it's a company that doesn't do anything about calendars and anything about, scheduling of events, that bullet point isn't going to be as meaningful to them. Any developer looking at that is going to go, that's a hard sort of algorithm. It's a hard problem to solve. To them, it'll be more impressive, but maybe to the hiring manager, they're not going to have that understanding. Some recruiters are not going to be technical, and so they're not going to have a good understanding of why that stands out and why that's important. And so you want things to really catch their attention around like the impact of what you built and why you built it and why it's going to matter to them as they're reading over that resume. So as far as the split of, do you work on that project full time? Do you get into like a full-time job? I mean, the other benefit there is if you go get a full-time job, if you're based in a country where you need to pay for your own health benefits like the United States, getting a full-time job, you get all that taken care of. You get your taxes taken out of your paycheck, and you get health benefits and things like that. If you go the freelancer route, you've got to reserve part of your income to pay taxes. You've got to pay for your own benefits, and you don't get time off. So there are pros and cons to being a solo developer freelancer. There are also pros and cons to being an employee. You're doing what somebody else tells you to do, but there are benefits as well. So it really varies a little bit. Let's go take a look at some of these screenshots here, and let's see what we got. Just going to switch my screen over here a little bit, and I'll drop some of these links in the description below for anybody listening to the podcast audio later. All right, so let's take a look at this. So lots of cool colors on here. You've got like scheduled stuff in here, quantities, lots of information in here, estimated time, due dates. Yeah, these are all good to have. Being able to order things by the due date is going to be really important. Artwork, no artwork or goods, no art with goods, art with no goods, and so on. Yeah. I mean, overall, the UI seems intuitive enough. I like how you've kind of built out these tabs here, like what's overdue, what's been completed, what's due this week, what's due next week, what's off in the future, and then breaking it down Monday to Friday kind of thing. I like it. Yeah, this is great. I'm curious about the tech stack that you used to build all this out. But yeah, it looks like a good one for sure. Thanks for checking that out. I hope that you found it helpful. I always appreciate feedback, so please let me know what you think. I appreciate any subscriptions, so please tell your friends and colleagues about it as well. Check out the website techinterview.guide for more information about when I'm live streaming and all of my free content. Drop by a live stream anytime to ask questions or message me privately, whatever makes you most comfortable. See you next time.